If you're fascinated by the prehistoric civilizations missing from our history books, embark on a remarkable journey with our ebook, Prehistoric Megastructures. This nearly 500-page volume is packed with images and in-depth explorations of some of the most astonishing and unexplained ancient structures ever discovered, monuments that were clearly built with advanced technology from a time long forgotten. There's a limited discount on the ebook, so make sure to click the link in the description or top pinned comment and uncover the mysteries that mainstream history refuses to acknowledge. The site with the most shocking and paradigm-shifting discoveries, the Baalbek Quarry. This limestone quarry, located about a mile from the main temple complex, is the place from which the majority of the giant stone blocks at Baalbek were extracted, including the massive trilithon stones. However, the quarry also houses unfinished monoliths, which are even more fascinating, as they are bigger than the trilithon stones. One of the earliest and most famous discoveries in the Baalbek Quarry is the Stone of the Pregnant Woman. This monolith, named after a local legend, is approximately 68 feet long, 14 feet high, and 14 feet wide, weighing over 1,200 tons. This stone lays at a raised angle with the lowest part of its base still attached to the quarry rock as though it were almost ready to be cut free and transported to its presumed location. Its immense size raises questions about how the ancients intended to transport and use it. Right below the stone block, we once again see the strange striation marks seen in the other megalithic stones, marks which many believe are machine marks. At Jungfrau Park in Interlaken, Switzerland, there's an intriguing model that demonstrates the number of modern cranes needed to lift the stone of the pregnant woman. Even if we assume this prehistoric civilization had the same crane technology as we have today, there's still not enough space for all the required cranes to be placed there. And even if they lift the block, how will they transport it to the temple? Initially, a large part of the monolith was buried underground, but after a long process of excavation, in 2014, a team from the German Archaeological Institute led by Jeanine Abdul Masih of the Lebanese University made an ever more shocking discovery. It was revealed that next to the stone of the pregnant woman underneath, there's an even more enormous monolith, which weighs 1,650 tons. This stone became known as the Forgotten Stone, and as of today, this is the largest stone block ever quarried in the world. In this aerial photo, you can compare the Forgotten Stone to the stone of the pregnant woman. The size difference is considerable. Considering the stone block was discovered just 10 years ago, who knows how deep the quarry goes and what else will be discovered in the future? Imagine what other giant prehistoric megaliths are out there, buried beneath the ground. The reason these stones remain an enduring mystery to modern scientists, including engineers and archaeologists, is that the techniques used for quarrying, transporting, and precisely positioning them are beyond the capabilities of any known ancient or contemporary builders. The path to Baalbek is uphill, traversing rough and winding terrain, and there is no evidence that a flat surface for hauling was ever constructed in ancient times. Furthermore, once the massive blocks reach the site, the challenge of how they were lifted and placed with such precision arises. Even if we assume the ancients could have used large pulley systems, the arrangement and positioning of the stones offer no feasible location where such an apparatus could have been installed. The very fact that the earth swelled the entire quarry proves that the site could be tens of thousands of years ago, placing it in the pre-Diluvian era. This could also explain the sudden and abrupt abandonment of the quarry. A cataclysmic event, whether an earthquake, flood, or some other natural disaster, could have forced the builders to halt their work unexpectedly, leaving these colossal stones unfinished and in place. The Baalbek Quarry is not just home to massive monoliths. It also contains caves, smaller quarried stones, and a series of enigmatic structures referred to as the Witnesses, which all add to the complexity of the site. These standing stones are different from the horizontally cut blocks in that they stand vertically, almost like sentinels guarding the quarry. The name Witnesses implies that they served as markers or indicators, perhaps denoting the significance of the quarry or the completion of specific quarrying stages. The purpose of these monoliths is still debated, with some suggesting they could have been part of an ancient megalithic marker system, similar to other standing stones around the world, like those found at Stonehenge or Karnak in France. Some researchers propose that the Witnesses may have had ritual significance or marked important celestial alignments, as ancient builders often incorporated astronomical features into their monuments. A lesser-known site is a second quarry nearby, just across the street, which is barely excavated. There, we find another gigantic stone monolith known as the Stone of the South. The Stone of the South surpasses the Stone of the Pregnant Woman in size, with an estimated weight of 1,300 tons. Its upper part was most likely still visible during the time of the Romans, and for this reason we see numerous small extractions on its surface. Since the Romans were unable to move and use this giant monolith, they simply cut pieces from it for their constructions. Many believe this quarry is even bigger than the previous one we discussed, yet as of today, it remains unexcavated, with constant rubbish and construction garbage being thrown over it. Who knows what other gigantic monoliths could be found buried beneath it? In conclusion, the prehistoric megalithic work at Baalbek remains one of the most awe-inspiring evidence of an advanced prehistoric civilization that possessed technology far superior to any known ancient civilization. There are many theories, myths, and legends surrounding the site. Ancient legends say that Baalbek is the most ancient building in the world and was built by Cain, the son of Adam, 133 years after the creation, with the help of Nephilim giants who were punished for their iniquities by the Great Flood. The Baalbek stones and quarry continue to fascinate and mystify people around the world. Whether viewed through the lens of myth, speculative history, or scholarly research, the legends surrounding Baalbek reflect humanity's enduring curiosity about its ancient past and the seemingly inexplicable achievements of prehistoric civilizations. The unfinished obelisk at Aswan. This gigantic piece of granite lies in the southern part of Egypt, right next to the Nile River. It was left behind thousands of years ago in the Aswan quarries, abandoned due to a crack. It was never relocated or erected, although it was clearly meant to be. It measures an impressive 137 feet in length and weighs about 1,170 tons, which, if completed, would have made it the largest single stone monument ever created by the Egyptians. In Aswan, which is a city essentially perched on a giant granite outcrop, there are numerous features in the quarry that indicate the use of advanced technology that could manipulate the hard granite. For example, we can find strange, perfectly round holes, which some say are test holes to check the condition of the granite in the deeper layers before committing to cutting a huge obelisk. These strange holes are completely smooth without any signs of chisels or tools. They look almost as if they were drilled with modern technology. One of these holes is enormous, almost 30 feet deep. Moreover, we can see perfectly straight vertical walls, which are very unusual considering their massive size and perfection. Some believe that this gigantic wall was made after an even larger obelisk block was extracted from the quarry. But how is this possible? What kind of technology could shape and cut hard granite in such a precise way? Moreover, how were the massive granite blocks and obelisks transported? If we go to the unfinished obelisk itself, we can find even stranger marks on the granite surface. The surface of this massive granite slab is adorned with smooth, hollowed-out areas, giving the appearance that the granite was scooped out from the obelisk. The term scoop actually comes from several researchers who studied the structure and couldn't find a better explanation than this, saying that the rock seems to have been scooped out like a spoon would do with ice cream. Notably, the sides of the obelisk also exhibit these scooped-out features, but in a vertical and almost uniform manner, extending from the sides of the stone down to the ground, where they form straight lines. One of the most fascinating aspects can be observed at the base of another stone near the unfinished obelisk. This particular stone is almost completely scooped out at the base, leaving just a small portion of granite connected to its original location. The peculiar appearance of these features, unique and not seen in other Egyptian structures, poses a challenge to modern archaeology. But how does modern archaeology explain these scoop marks? The traditional narrative suggests that the obelisk, believed to have been commissioned during the time of Hatshepsut, was carved using diorite balls, which the ancient Egyptian workers are believed to have pounded against the obelisk to shape it. This theory sounds ridiculous, considering the test holes that are perfectly smooth, the perfectly flat walls, and the scoop marks that are all the same size. Even if we consider that it's possible to shape the granite block simply by pounding it with a diorite stone, there are areas with limited space around the obelisk that simply can't allow a worker to carry out such a vigorous pounding action effectively enough to produce noticeable results. The same goes for the test holes, with some of them being extremely narrow, clearly offering insufficient space for any pounding movements. Moreover, this ridiculous theory still doesn't explain how the Egyptians planned to have transported this colossal structure had it been completed. The obelisk is situated in a deep pit, and its extraction and transportation to its intended destination would have been an engineering feat of monumental proportions. Perhaps the unfinished obelisk was left here by a civilization that predated the dynastic Egyptians, a civilization that had the technology to manipulate the granite in such a way and be able to actually transport it to its designated place once it's finished. Another gigantic unfinished block can be found at the Minya Quarry, also known as the Tura Limestone Quarry, which is also in Egypt. The block at Minya remains in situ, partially carved from the limestone bedrock, indicating that the work was abandoned before it could be completed and transported. The Yangshan Quarry, located in the outskirts of Nanjing, China, is a trove of archaeological anomalies that defy conventional understanding of ancient engineering. The centerpiece of this mystery is the gargantuan megalithic block estimated to weigh 16,000 tons, making it the largest known stone ever cut by human hands. To put the enormity of this block into perspective, it is over 13 times heavier than the largest known megalithic block in the world, the one at Baalbek, Lebanon, which weighs 1,200 tons. The logistics of cutting, extracting, and transporting a stone of this magnitude are staggering to consider. With our current technological capabilities, moving a 16,000-ton block would be an impossible task, no matter how many cranes and other heavy machinery we use. So the question is, what kind of technology did this ancient civilization possess to be able to transport such enormous stone blocks? And it's evident that the massive stone block at the Yangshan Quarry wasn't an isolated case. It appears that millions of tons of rock have been displaced already, leaving towering flat walls that defy traditional quarrying practices. This means that indeed whoever operated in this quarry really had the ability and technology to transport the massive blocks that were extracted. But that's not the only mystery. The methods used to cut and shape this giant stone are also a source of significant wonder. There are massive square holes at the bottom of the block, which were probably made to be used when the block was about to be lifted and transported away from the site. The precision and clarity of the quarry marks, along with the planned smooth surfaces present at the site, indicate a level of sophistication that seems far beyond the capabilities of ancient civilizations as we understand them. The presence of straight and precise grooves, along with the sheer size of the block, implies a mastery over stone that was simply impossible for any known ancient civilization of the time. Also, the erosion and weathering present on the stone block indicate that it's extremely old, probably much older than the estimated 8,000 years. It seems as if the entire site was once some kind of complex, as there are other massive structures present there. On one of those structures, we can see perfectly squared cavities carved into the rock, which is a task that would be impossible with simple bronze tools. The precision of the 90-degree angles and the intricate removal of material from these blocks perplex modern researchers. The most shocking feature of the structures was the giant knobs. Ancient megalithic sites adorned with distinctive knobs are found across various parts of the world, suggesting a shared technique or symbolic significance among prehistoric builders. In Peru, particularly in areas like Cusco, there are many megalithic stones with similar knobs. The Giza Plateau in Egypt, home to the famous pyramids, also features megalithic blocks with knob-like protrusions. The Menkaure Pyramid, in particular, showcases this characteristic. Mainstream historians believe these knobs were used for the lifting and positioning of stones, acting as leverage points for ropes. However, judging by the enormous scale of the blocks in Yangshan, it's clear that there was an alternative purpose behind these protrusions. But how is it possible that we can find gigantic, unfinished stone blocks in various parts of the world, all suddenly left in the middle of their extraction processes and untouched for thousands of years? We already mentioned the massive stone blocks at Baalbek, Lebanon. The Trilithon are three massive stones that form part of the podium of the Temple of Jupiter. Each stone weighs an estimated 800 tons. The true age of this gigantic megalithic platform remains a mystery to archaeologists, although many believe they are at least 9,000 years old. The ancient Phoenicians, Greeks, and Romans built their structures and temples upon the massive foundation, yet nothing of their construction matches the sheer scale and engineering prowess demonstrated by the Baalbek stones. These colossal blocks were precisely cut and placed with remarkable accuracy, and fitted together perfectly. Curiously, the Yangshan Quarry in China has the exact same tool marks that are seen on the massive stones at Baalbek. Similarly, at the ancient city of Petra in Jordan, tool marks that closely resemble those on the Yangshan blocks have been identified. Petra, dating back to as early as 7000 BC, showcases sedimentary rock formations with striations nearly identical to those in Yangshan, despite the different rock types. Comparisons with modern machinery reveal striking similarities in the striations produced by contemporary mining equipment, which suggests a level of sophistication in ancient tooling methods that parallels modern technology. This raises intriguing questions about the capabilities and technologies of ancient civilizations, suggesting that they might have possessed advanced engineering knowledge long before it was previously thought. The sudden cessation of work at these sites hints at a possible cataclysmic event that abruptly ended these monumental projects. The commonality of unfinished work at these sites has led some to theorize that a widespread ancient cataclysm might have caused the sudden abandonment of these monumental construction projects. It appears that these advanced civilizations were abruptly halted in their tracks, leaving behind these massive stone giants as silent witnesses to their erstwhile grandeur and technical prowess. Mount Nokogiri, located in Chiba Prefecture, Japan, is the location of an enormous megalithic site believed to be an ancient quarry. The Japanese have aptly named this site Saw Mountain due to the cut marks reminiscent of a saw, and they used it as a stone quarry beginning in the early Edo period, from 1603 to 1868. However, the actual age of the Mount Nokogiriyama quarry remains a mystery. There are many features of the site suggesting a much older and possibly prehistoric origin, hinting at the works of a lost advanced civilization. The theory that Mount Nokogiri could have been an ancient quarry long before the Edo period is fueled by the perfect cuts on the stone, which are remarkably precise. These cuts are exceptionally straight and clean, suggesting the use of advanced tools or techniques that seem out of place for the known historical period of the quarry's operation. During the Edo period in Japan, the technology and tools available for quarrying and stone cutting were quite basic, using chisels and hammers as well as wedges and spikes. When comparing these traditional tools and methods to the precise and almost machine-like cuts observed in some ancient stones at sites like Mount Nokogiriyama, there is a notable discrepancy in capability. We must also consider the incredible height of these walls, which reach up to approximately 30 meters, which is about 100 feet in some places. The precision in the ancient cuts suggests the use of technology that could consistently produce straight and perfectly aligned cuts, no matter the height, which is difficult to achieve with the aforementioned traditional tools. Curiously, the precise stone cuts at Mount Nokogiriyama bear a striking resemblance to those found at other ancient sites across the globe, where similar meticulous craftsmanship points to sophisticated stoneworking skills. For instance, Pumapunku in Bolivia is an ancient site famed for its incredibly precise stonework. The cuts and drill holes in these stones are so fine and exact that they have led some to speculate about the possibility of advanced prehistoric stone-cutting technologies, possibly even predating the Inca civilization. If Pumapunku was constructed by a highly advanced civilization preceding the Inca, who then merely inherited the site, might it also be possible that the Mount Nokogiri quarry was originally developed by an even older civilization, which was later inherited by the Japanese? The features discovered at the site are extraordinary. For instance, there are sections where precise roads and arches have been meticulously carved straight into the rock face of the mountain. Such achievements are truly monumental. The strangest anomaly of the site is the various vertical incisions, which are perfectly parallel to one another. If you watched our recent documentary in which we explored the prehistoric megalithic sites found in China, these vertical incisions probably look familiar to you. We showed you these same incisions on various unexplained sites in China, such as the Yangshan Quarry, where gigantic stone blocks were carved from the rock, together with the vast cave networks of Longyu Caves, the Huashan Grottos, and more. All of these extensive sites were centers of monumental construction efforts and stone extraction processes, with millions of tons of rock being removed. For simple Bronze Age cultures equipped with primitive tools, such tasks would have been unfathomable. The precise vertical cuts found at all of these sites closely resemble those produced in modern mines using advanced drilling machinery. Take a look at this comparison of the lines found at Mount Nokogiri-yama and compare them with the marks left by our modern machines. The similarity is uncanny. Of course, this does not mean that the ancient Japanese were unskilled stoneworkers. During the Edo period, the Japanese, who likely inherited this ancient site, added remarkable pieces of art, like this giant Buddha. This impressive sculpture, which dates back to 1783, was carved directly into the stone face of the mountain. It stands approximately 31 meters high, making it one of the largest Buddha statues in Japan. Adjacent to it, there are over 1,500 smaller stone statues of Buddhist disciples, known as Reikan. These statues, scattered around the slopes of the mountain, are intricately carved, each with unique facial expressions and poses. They depict the followers of Buddha, each captured in different postures of meditation and contemplation. But again, these artistic decorations were likely added thousands of years later and have nothing to do with the original builders of the site. Given all that we've considered thus far, it's worth questioning whether this prehistoric site was actually used as a quarry at all. The primary objective of a stone quarry is typically to extract the maximum amount of stone using the least amount of labor and energy within the shortest possible time frame. However, the practices observed here appear to contradict these principles. If the workers lacked machinery and had to make parallel incisions by hand, it suggests that they extracted as little stone as possible while expending a significant amount of labor. Moreover, why would they create perfectly polished and precisely angled 90-degree cavities in the rock if their sole intention was merely to extract stone? Such meticulous craftsmanship suggests other motivations or purposes behind their laborious efforts. But the question is, what? As we transition from the rugged landscapes of Mount Nokogiri to another significant site, the Oya Stone Quarry in Utsunomiya, we encounter a very similar quarry. In this quarry, we can once again see precise cuts and parallel machine marks on the stone. Are these marks really made by some sort of advanced ancient machine technology? The notion that such technology existed is supported by the precision and consistency of the markings, which conventional tools of the periods attributed to these sites would struggle to achieve. What sets the Oya Stone Quarry apart from that on Mount Nokogiri is that it reaches depths of about 200 feet or 60 meters. This is a monumental undertaking by any standard, especially without the use of modern equipment. The interior of this man-made cave is remarkable, with a perfectly flat floor, precise 90-degree angled cuts in various parts, and once again, parallel grooves. The site looks exactly like the Longyu Caves and the Huashan Grottos in China. But how is this possible? Considering the distance between the Oya Stone Quarry in Japan and those sites in central China is approximately 1,800 kilometers, about 1,118 miles. This measurement does not account for the additional distances that would be added by land or sea routes needed to actually travel between these two locations. Maybe all of these sites were built by the same global civilization, a civilization that possessed advanced technology and sophisticated knowledge that would allow them to construct these gigantic megaliths. It is unknown what caused the extinction of this culture, but most likely it was some sort of cataclysmic event. Monument Valley, located on the Navajo Nation, which is a reservation at the Arizona-Utah border, is an iconic symbol of the American West. This breathtaking landscape is filled with towering sandstone buttes and mesas that rise dramatically from the earth, reaching heights of up to 1,000 feet. All of these beautiful features are the result of nature and many years of erosion that sculpted the sandstone into the distinct shapes that define the landscape today. However, there's one place that can be found north of Monument Valley that seems way too precise to be the work of nature and erosion. A place with perfectly rectangular and cubic blocks, all possessing exact 90-degree angles and all cut in precise straight lines. Their dimensions are as accurately executed as the cuts made by a laser cutter on sheet metal, leaving the surface of the blocks perfectly smooth.
That tip would have fit perfectly right here.
The place recently got some attention from the POV channel on YouTube, who was fascinated by the site's precise geometry, comparing the configuration of the blocks to giant Legos. Curiously, he also noted that in some places it appeared as if there were missing blocks. But how is this possible? The cliff and the blocks themselves are made from sandstone, a sedimentary rock composed mainly of sand-sized mineral particles and rock fragments. But sandstone doesn't naturally cleave like that. Some of the blocks are perfect cubes, and upon measuring them, the POV channel noted that all sides measure almost exactly 21 feet. This means that the cubic blocks alone are around 670 tons. The massive rectangular ones could be around 900 tons. A massive portion of the site looks already pre-cut, where all of the blocks look like they were already segmented into precise pieces and left there ready for their extraction. Could this really have been an enormous quarry of an advanced ancient civilization? Curiously, there are ancient drawings on the site, probably left by the Navajo people. The drawing depicts humanoid beings, together with the spiral symbol.
You can see there's several humanoid drawings. One right here, one right here, and right there.
In Navajo belief, the spiral symbolizes the concept of time, and they believe that time is not viewed as linear, but cyclical. The site, along with many others in the area, including the entirety of Monument Valley, is considered sacred by the Navajo. They believe it was created by the holy people, as they call them. Navajo belief suggests that the rock formations and buttes of Monument Valley are the remains of ancient beings who once roamed the earth. These beings were destroyed due to their actions and by the will of the gods, with all that was left of them being the large rock formations and buttes, serving as guardians of the land and reminders of the past. But here's what's interesting. In Navajo mythology, the world has undergone several cycles or ages, each ending with a catastrophic event leading to the destruction of the previous civilization and the emergence of a new one. According to the legend, the first and second worlds were destroyed due to discord and conflict. In the third world, the inhabitants became corrupt and disrespectful. The gods, displeased with this behavior, decided to cleanse the earth with a great flood. There's no point in telling you the full story, as it's almost identical to the story of Noah's Ark. In fact, we have an entire documentary in which we discussed all great flood stories around the world and how they all narrate the exact same story, a story of an advanced civilization destroyed by a major cataclysm. Does that mean that the site in question could be an ancient quarry from a civilization that was wiped out by a great flood thousands of years ago? Curiously, there are many coral fossils visible on the surface, suggesting the entire site was once underwater. Looking at the precise angles and smooth surfaces of the gigantic blocks, you may notice similarities with other massive blocks around the world, like the ones in Baalbek. But although we know the Baalbek stones are man-made, we can't confirm the same thing about the Navajo stone blocks. There's still the possibility that they're a natural formation. While nature does not cut sandstone into blocks with the precision of human-made tools, natural processes can lead to the formation of block-like structures. Initially, sand accumulates in layers through sedimentation, often in basins or low-lying areas where it is compacted as more sediment is deposited on top. Over millions of years, this compacted sand becomes cemented into solid rock through lithification, where minerals like quartz or calcite fill the spaces between the sand grains, binding them together. As tectonic forces act on the Earth's crust, these sandstone layers can be uplifted, exposing them to surface conditions. When exposed, sandstone undergoes weathering and erosion, influenced by factors like wind, water, temperature changes, and biological activity. These erosional processes can carve the sandstone into distinct shapes, including block-like structures, especially along natural lines of weakness such as joints and bedding planes. If we explore the natural wonders of our planet, we can find many geological masterpieces that mimic the precision of human craftsmanship and showcasing perfect geometry. Among these is the Giant's Causeway in Northern Ireland. This extraordinary landscape is composed of around 40,000 interlocking basalt columns, mostly hexagonal, that descend like steps into the North Sea. Formed around 50 to 60 million years ago due to intense volcanic activity, the rapid cooling of lava upon contact with the sea resulted in the contraction and fracturing of the surface into these astonishing columnar shapes. The uniformity and neatness of these columns resemble a man-made sculpture. Across the Atlantic in California, the Devil's Postpile National Monument showcases a similar phenomenon. Here, the high columns of basalt rise majestically, forming a symmetrical organ-like structure. This natural phenomenon occurred when a lava flow cooled and shrank, cracking into multi-sided columns. The near-perfect uniformity of these columns, some reaching heights of over 60 feet, is a stunning example of nature's geometric precision. Iceland's Svartafoss, or Black Falls, is another marvel of natural architecture. Surrounded by dark lava columns which sharply contrast with the white of the cascading water, Svartafoss has inspired human creations with its striking geometry. These basalt columns formed inside a lava flow that cooled slowly and cracked into hexagonal patterns. In Scotland, the island of Staffa is home to Fingal's Cave, famous for its naturally formed basalt columns. Much like the Giant's Causeway, Staffa's columns were formed by the cooling of volcanic lava, creating a cathedral-like structure. In the heart of Europe, the Czech Republic's Panská Skala, or Lord's Rock, is another intriguing geological formation. Often referred to as the Organ Pipes, this formation consists of a cluster of basalt columns that rise from the ground in a harmonious vertical array, mirroring the pipes of a grand organ. All of these sites illustrate the diverse and fascinating ways in which natural forces shape our world. Yet, it's intriguing to note the absence of formations exactly like those in the Navajo Nation, where the precision of the natural stone blocks seems almost too exact to be a product of nature alone. This distinctiveness may stir a sense of curiosity and skepticism about the purely natural origins of such exact formations. Indeed, the exactitude of the natural stone blocks in the Navajo Nation with their clean lines and orderly appearance may seem to stretch the bounds of natural geological processes. This observation invites viewers to ponder the forces and conditions that contribute to the formation of such remarkably precise natural structures. Let us know what you think about the site. Do you believe it's a natural formation or a massive ancient quarry used by an advanced civilization? Tell us in the comments below. If you're fascinated by the prehistoric civilizations missing from our history books, embark on a remarkable journey with our ebook, Prehistoric Megastructures. There's a limited discount on the ebook, so make sure to click the link in the description or top pinned comment and uncover the mysteries that mainstream history refuses to acknowledge.